Hey everyone, welcome back to another video by Simplilearn. Today we will be discussing about Kotlin interview questions. The 30 questions that will be covered in this video will help you summarize every important concepts and serves as a perfect programming resource for Kotlin interviews. So now let's get started with an exciting video on Kotlin interview questions. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update from Simplilearn. So now let's go ahead with our first question, which is name some of the features which are there in Kotlin but not in Java. So some of the features which are there in Kotlin but not in Java are null safety feature, operator overloading, coroutines, range expression, and smart casts. So these are some of the features that make Kotlin better language than Java. Now coming to the second question, which is what is the difference between var and val? Both var and val are used for declaration of variables. However, var is a general variable that can be assigned several times, whereas val is a final variable that is immutable and can only be initialized once. Now moving on to the third question, which is what are the advantages of when over switch in Kotlin? In Java, the word switch is used, whereas in Kotlin, the word when is used. When is more compact and effective than a regular switch, and it has superior design than switch. When can be used both an expression and a statement, but switch cannot be used as both. It can be used as statement, but it cannot be used as expression. Now, moving on to our next question, which is a multiple choice question. Which of the following are the types of constructors in Kotlin? So first is parameterized and constant constructor. Option B is primary constructor and secondary constructor. Option C is default and no argument constructor. And option D is none of the above. So you can take your time in figuring out the correct option among these four options, because I'm going to say its correct option. You can pause the video and take your time. So our correct option is option B. Primary constructor and secondary constructor are the types of constructor in Kotlin. So option B is the correct option. Now moving on to our next question, that is the fifth question, which is how to get the length of the string in Kotlin. So this is also a multiple choice question. Our options are A, str.length of, option B, length str, option C, str.length, and option D, str.length of with small o. So you can take your time in figuring out what is the correct option. Meanwhile, I'm going to say the correct option. So our right or correct option is option C, str.length. So if you want to get the length of a string in Kotlin, you can use str.length. Now moving on to the next question, which is which feature allows removing the risk of occurrence of null pointer exception? So it is an important question as well. So there are four options. First, null risk, B, null safety, C, null pointer, and D, all of the above. It is a very important question. And now the correct option of this question is E, null safety. Null safety allows us to remove the risk of occurrence of null pointer exception. It is a very essential feature of Kotlin language. Now moving on to the seventh question, which is what is null safety and nullable types in Kotlin? So null safety, commonly referred to as void safety, ensures that no object references have null or void values, whereas in Kotlin, nullable types are references types that are declared by appending a question mark to the string. This question mark is what we add at the end of the data type to make it as nullable. Now moving on to the eighth question, which is what is higher order function in Kotlin? A higher order function accepts one or more functions as arguments and returns a function as output. It is not like any other function. The higher order functions are frequently combined with lambda expression to create code that is both compact and powerful. Instead of integer, string or array as a parameter to the function, we will pass anonymous function or lambdas in higher order function. So basically, we pass a function to other function known as higher order function. Now, moving on to the ninth question, which is, what is Elvis operator? The null safety attribute in Kotlin allows us to assign null values to the variables. We can use if else or the Elvis operator to see if a value has a null value. Elvis operator returns the first operand, and if that operand is true, otherwise evaluates and returns the other operand. Now our next question is, why is Kotlin interoperable with Java? So this is our 10th question. So Kotlin is compatible with Java because it uses JVM bytecode. JetBrains places a strong emphasis on Kotlin's interaction with existing Java code while building compatibility. The team ensures that Kotlin can interface with existing Java code easily and thoroughly. Compiling it directly to bytecode speeds up the compilation process and eliminates the distinction between Java and Kotlin on JVM. So this is the reason Kotlin is interoperable with Java. Now coming on to the 11th question, which is, what are the range expressions? A range is a set of values defined by their beginning and ending points. Range expression in Kotlin make it easier to iterate over a set of values. To make a range in Kotlin, use the range to and down to functions. We may also define a range of values by using the double dots operator. As we can see in the example, for I in 1 this will print all the elements from 1 to 10. And for 10 in down to 1 will print all the elements from 10 to 1 in descending order. The third one is, which is for I in 1 step 2. This will print elements with a gap. Now step 2 means there's a gap. So it will print elements like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 because we have used step 2. If we'll use step 3, then it will give a gap of 2 like 1, 4 like that, so on. Moving on to the 12th question, which is, what do you understand by data class? So data classes are the classes that are used to hold the data or information. These data classes were previously exclusively used to generate Java codes. But with the explicit implementation of the higher and greater collection of properties, they are now important in Kotlin as well. Functions like toString and equals are also combined with this language. Now, moving on to the 13th question, which is immutable variable. So this is a multiple choice question, and the options are A, variable that can be changed, B, a variable that cannot change, that is read only, C, a variable used for string interpolation, D, none of the above. So we have already talked about immutable variable, and you can pick the correct option. Now I'm gonna say the correct option. So the correct option is B, a variable that cannot be changed is called immutable variable. That is the variable that cannot be changed. Now coming on to the 14th question, which is, what are coroutines? It is a very important concept. So the letters co and routine stand for cooperation and function respectively. A coroutine is a Kotlin feature that can perform everything a thread can do while still be incredibly efficient. A coroutine is a lightweight code that doesn't require any processor background switching and doesn't map on native threads. So this is coroutines. Now let's have a look at the 15th question, which is difference between safe calls and null check. Safe call operator is used to determine whether a variable's value is null or not. If it is null, null will be returned. Otherwise, the requested value will be returned. On the other hand, when the value of the variable is null, you can use the null check operator to throw a null pointer exception. So this is the difference between safe call and null check. Now coming to the 16th question, which is what are init blocks in Kotlin? Initializer blocks that are invoked after the primary constructor are known as init blocks. One or more init blocks can be found in a class file, and they will be run in order. In Kotlin, it is not feasible to do any operations in the primary constructor. Instead, you must utilize the init block. So this is the init blocks in Kotlin. Now our next question, which is the 17th question, is what are lambda's expression? So lambda's expression are anonymous function that can be handled as values, meaning they can be sent as arguments to a function, returned or used in any other way that a normal object can be used. So it can be returned and used in any other way like a normal object can be used. So the lambda expression has no name and is created and assigned as a separate variable. It doesn't have any parameters and returns no value in the function. So this is called lambda function. It is used with higher order functions. Now coming to the next question, which is what is inline function? So inline functions tell the compiler to include the entire body of the function wherever it is called in the code. It is used to improve the performance of higher order function as well as the inline function call and inform the compiler to copy parameters and functions. To use an inline function, all you have to do is to add the inline keyword to the beginning of the function definition. So this is inline function. Now coming to what is null safety. So null safety is a very important feature. The type system of Kotlin is designed to eliminate the risk of null references in code. The type system in Kotlin distinguishes between the reference that can and cannot hold null. So here's an example of not null reference which will show you compiler error. So this is the example, string equals ABC. After that, the other is the example of null reference where we have used the question mark as we have discussed previously. So because to allow a variable to hold null, we have to declare a variable as nullable string with question mark. So now our next question, that is the 20th question, is what is late init? So late init is an abbreviation for late initialization. If you don't want to initialize a variable in the constructor and instead want to do it later, and you can guarantee the initialization before using it, use the late init keyword to declare that variable. It won't start allocating memory until it's been initialized. Now our 21st question is what is the difference between const and val? The const keyword is used to declare properties that are immutable by nature. That is, the properties that are read only. Also, the values of these properties must be known at compile time only. Now, if we talk about val, for read-only properties, the val keyword is also used. But the main difference between the const and val is that the val properties can be initialized at the runtime also. But it is not so in case of const. Coming to the 22nd question, which is what is the difference between open and public? So open for extension is what the open keyword indicates. The open annotation on a class is the polar opposite of the final annotation in Java. It allows others to inherit from it. On the other hand, if no visibility modifier is specified, public is used by default, which means your declaration will be visible everywhere. If nothing else is supplied, public is used by default. So our next question is, what defines a sealed class in Kotlin? So it is a multiple choice question. A. It's another name for abstract class. B. It represents restricted class hierarchies. C. It is used in every Kotlin program. D. None of the above. So our correct option is option B. It represents restricted class hierarchies. So the restricted class hierarchies defines the sealed class in Kotlin. Now moving on to the 24th question, which is, what is lazy initialization in Kotlin? So lazy initialization is a feature in Kotlin that indicates that your variable will not be initialized unless you utilize it in your code. If it only be initialized once, after that you repeat the process with the same value. So now moving on to our 25th question, which is, what is the entry point of every Kotlin program? So every Kotlin program's entry point is the main function. The main function does not have to be written inside the class in Kotlin. The JVM automatically encapsulates it in a class when it is compiled. The command line arguments are retrieved using the strings given in the form of array string. So this was the answer of this question. Now moving on to the next question, which is, what are companion objects in Kotlin? So if we wish to write a function or a member of a class that may be called without needing the class instance, we can do so as a member of companion object within the class in Kotlin. As a result, by declaring the companion object, we can only access the class member by class name. So this was the answer of companion objects in Kotlin. Now moving on to the 27th question, which is, where does this Kotlin run? So Kotlin programs can execute on a normal JVM just like any other compiled Java code. This means that the Kotlin compiler converts Kotlin programs to bytecode that the JVM can understand. As a result, Kotlin is a Java kind that works alongside with Java. So basically Kotlin is a kind of Java, you can say that. It is worth noting that bits of Java code can be used to create Kotlin applications. So now our next question is, why do we need object keyword? The object keyword in Kotlin allows you to declare a class and create an instance of it in one step. The object keyword is used to obtain a data type with a single implementation. It has three different meanings and can be used in three different contexts. First is object declaration, object expression, and companion object. So this was the meaning or why we need object keyword in Kotlin. So now coming to the second last question, which is, what is string interpolation? So let's start with the launch. So launch is a coroutine that fires and then forgets. It's as though a new topic that has been started. If the code inside the launch throws an exception, it's considered like an uncaught exception in a thread, which is normally written to stderr in backend JVM apps and crashes Android apps. Now on the other hand, async. Async is used to launch a coroutine that calculates some data. You must use a wait on the result, which is represented by an instance of dereferred. Uncaught exceptions in async code are held in the resultant dereferred and are not transmitted anywhere else. Unless processed, they are silently dropped. So, although async is used to start the coroutines, it does so by blocking the main thread at the await function's entry point. And launch will not block the main thread, but the rest of the code will not be executed while waiting for the launch result, because launch is not a suspend call. And this was the last question, that is the 30th question of Kotlin interview questions. So with that, we have come to the end of this Kotlin interview questions video. We hope these interview questions have provided you more insights of what type of questions you should prepare or what type of questions you are likely to encounter. If you have any doubts about any questions in this video, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Our team of experts will be happy to solve all your queries. I hope the video is informative and interesting. Thanks for watching, stay safe and keep learning.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.